Okay, and we are live. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our viewers from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining yet another Friday Fireside session. So, this is our fifth one, and we are joined today by Bharat Kishore, the Chief Revenue Officer at AppSecEngineer. So, welcome, Bharat.
Hey Anish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, going pretty well.
So today I understand that we will be talking again. So last time I spoke with Anushika about our experience at BlackHat USA 2022. So last year and how that was for us and kind of the things that we learned, some mistakes that we made,
hmm
and kind of the things that we want to fix regarding those mistakes this year. So
hmm
what is our conversation today going to be about?
I think I am going to specifically talk about the kind of prep that we went through and the kind of things that we did in the show floor at the booth. And more,
Hmm.
I think Anushika's take was more on the marketing side of things, and my take would be more on the sales side of things and what a team needs to do. Again, we both work
Hmm.
together on this quite extensively, all of us together. But there are
Yep.
certain things that I specifically worked on with all of you, and I would just like to share those experiences with everyone. Again, in all fairness, we last year's booth went quite well for us. So I
Right.
just
Yeah.
want to take the opportunity to share the experience
Hmm.
with others, of course, and it may be their first time going into a massive event like Black Hat. So it's always nice to share that experience, and if nothing like it, we'll hear comments from other people as to what their experience has been and whether what we talk about has helped them or not.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you guys have been to Black Hat in previous years, please let us know your experiences in the comments. We'd love to hear about it and learn from your experiences as well. So yeah, to start off with, we last year we had a pretty great booth experience, but there were a lot of there was a lot of preparation in the lead up, and even once we did get there, there was a lot of stumbles and things that we learned from because of the challenges and the hurdles that we experienced there. So that was definitely something that we kind of it was a refreshing sort of experience because everything has been pretty much online, and finally we're actually getting to see people and meet them and talk to them in person.
Yeah.
So to the in the lead up to that, can you tell me a little bit about the preparation? What sort of preparation should teams do in order to make the most out of that booth experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when we went in last year, AppSecEngineer as a product, I think had been in the markets for a year, maximum a year and a half. I think a little bit less than that, probably just a year. So when we went in, even our pitch was fairly new, right? It just been a year for the product. So even we were also just, ironing out the pitch and, understanding what works good, what works best, what people want to hear, essentially. Now, what I had to specifically do was to work with everybody else, including my colleague in the sales teams and with marketing teams, to how to condense all of that in a maximum 20 to 30-second elevator pitch, right? And we
Right.
were not used to doing that. We used to like, okay, somebody's coming in, and it used to be like a call, and it'll be like, you'll at least have 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And then we used to, and like anyone who is in sales or anyone who's in marketing, they want to tell everything what's great about their product, but then that takes time. Now,
Yeah.
when we configured this for a booth experience, we realized that if we cannot hold anyone for 20 minutes even if they are not interested. So you have to talk about the value immediately, and that is what I think we rehearsed for almost, I remember,
Yeah.
2 months. We did a 2 month worth of
Right.
rehearsal. We had calls, mock calls. There were kind of sessions. I mean, we made it as brutal as possible, but in the end, I think the results for us spoke quite well. And
Hmm.
people who came to our booth, and the best way to for us to judge that was to, again, sorry to say this, but I mean, it's competition, right? So it's all is fair in competition. Our booth was the most, which had the most footfalls as compared to other booths around us, right? Even
Yep.
though
Yeah.
they were more tried and tested products, more products which people generally understood. Ours was a product which is fairly new, or the way it handles training is
Yeah.
fairly new. But we were able to drive a lot of footfall towards our booth, and a lot of that we were able, and most important point is we were able to retain a lot of the people who came in, right? Because
Yeah.
in an event like this, as you understand, people will come in, and if they don't really like what they're hearing, or they don't find very interesting, they just say thank you very much, and then they
Yeah,
walk
and they
out,
might
right?
just stay there for the swag and then like head out.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we had those people as well, I'm sure. But
Right.
then there
Yeah.
were those who may have just thought of coming for the swag, but then ended up staying
Mm-hmm.
there, spending 20 minutes at the booth, right? And
Right.
that gave you an opportunity to, reach out to them later and follow
Yeah.
up, and you know cultivate that lead further. So
Right.
the
And
prep, I think, extensively helped us in doing this.
yeah. Yeah, in order to, kind of grab their attention in the first place and get them to ask, interesting questions. So we had to kind of make sure that, the kind of information we're giving out isn't just like a list of features or just some, all the best things about AppSec Engineer. It's more to do with how the products, like finding out the kind of problems that the other person has, and figuring out how AppSec Engineer could solve that. Because one of the first things we did was ask a question. We would ask, what is your training situation like at your company? Do
Yeah,
you find
yeah,
that your training situation is, security training at your company is lacking? Is there some sort of, shortfall over there? And once they gave us an answer, we kind of try to figure out, okay, so does this person require this sort of approach or something else? That do we need to be talking more about the devsecops and cloud
yeah,
security
yeah.
side of things, or what? So that was
Y-
definitely,
yeah, good that you mentioned that. The most interesting things that was that, the thing that, why the boot worked so well, and I was really happy with, a lot of times, and especially during prep, I got to hear from
yeah.
everyone saying that, the prep that I'm driving, or the prep that we were driving, is kind of overkill. Why do we need to know so many things? If it's 30 seconds, why do we need to know so many things?
Yeah,
But it helped us because we were able to pivot to different parts. Again, like you said,
exactly.
the way we drove it was that you would come in, or somebody would come in, and then we would say, okay, if you're looking at training, what are the problems that you're facing? How have you done training before? And we approached it from that angle. And then when they gave us
Right.
those responses, we only focused on answering those questions and kept it very tight, rather than saying,
Right.
oh, hi, this is my product, this is what I do. And then it becomes a very elongated
Yeah.
story, and then nobody wants to
Yeah.
stick around for that long if it's not interesting to them. So I think that worked
Yeah.
out very well. So that's why, again, going back to the point, prep extensively, irrespective of how difficult, or a lot of people may call it overkill, but
Yeah.
when you're on the ground, it helps a lot.
Yeah, like you need to be as familiar with your product as possible, even if you're not a technical person, even if you're not involved in the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
end of your product or whatever. You still need to know the nitty gritty of how to use the product and all of that. Which
yeah,
brings me to my second point, like the demos. So we, of course, you can't give a demo to every single person who comes there. You kind of have to figure out who is actually interested and then gauge their interest, and then ask them if they want a demo. You can like check with them, and if they say yes, then you can go ahead and give that demo. So Bharat, what would you say, are the key things to keep in mind when you're giving a product demo?
All right. So I think one thing that worked very well, and I don't know, I think you and Anushika spoke about this in the previous fireside chat, but one thing that worked very well, and that's how we set up the booth, right? So I think we were about 5 or 6 people last time when we were at the booth, right?
Yeah.
So Anushika and a few more, I think you yourself, Anushika, and you were primarily trying to funnel in people into the booth, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
is that is another point that worked out very well, is because you know you may be great at sales, you may be great at talking to people, you may be great at showcasing your product and doing a demo, but then
Right.
in a conference environment, you need people to get to your booth, right? If
Yeah.
you are not comfortable in opening up a conversation with a rank stranger just walking across, then you're just dependent on somebody being really curious as to what you're about, and then
Yeah.
you taking the initiative to talk to him. So I think what you and
Exactly.
Anushika were able to do very well was able to get people in. Right? Just
Right.
type of, hey, how are you? How are you doing? How's your day? How's your day been like? Etc. Etc. Right? And
Right.
even having quirky openers saying, I know you must have got tons of swag, but then we also have swag, so why don't you check it out? And for that very reason, people would come in. Now, when they
Yeah.
came in, right? Before you so it was kind of a deal that you made, and that's what worked well. The minute the guy is standing there, or minute that person is standing there, you would automatically open up saying that we do have a demo as well, so if you want to take a look at that, we can wrap it
Yep.
up very quickly and showcase what we have very quickly. And that is where the flow came in. Now see, the thing is this: a lot of people say that, yeah, maybe just keep it 5 minutes. But in that 5 minutes, if you capture the attention, can lead to 15, and even they won't
Yeah.
realize that it's getting to 15. So that is how we qualified a person, right, coming in. And i
Right.
think
Yeah.
i think you guys were getting people in, and then
Mm-hmm.
me and other colleagues like Abhay and others were also in some ways, gauging their body language. Were they only here for just swag? Are they here for just a very, very casual demo, just
Yeah.
standing there to not make you feel bad, or are
Right.
they serious? I think that level of gauging was something that we were doing, who was specifically
Mm-hmm.
extensively doing the demo. So people came in, and then we would have more questions, and that would automatically happen as you
Yeah.
start talking to people. And that's why the question led approach, saying, how have you done training? What has it
Right.
helped for you? How has been your experience in your company?
Exactly.
What is the kind of feedback that people are giving for your training? Do they like it? Do they hate it? Do they say, are they indifferent? Man, if I don't attend, if I attend, big deal, right? Are they giving
Right.
those kind of responses? And then
Yeah.
based on that, you would be able to change out how we present the
Exactly.
demo to them. So I think
Yeah, it's
that
a two-way
was
street.
something
It's
that
like
worked
a
very well.
conversation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Rather
It's
than
like
just an
something.
elevator pitch where he's just listening, so make it a
Right.
conversation.
Yeah. So you're trying to, like, find out and customize your pitch to them, and then only if they really show that much interest, then you go for the demo, and then you get their contact and all of that. So only then will you really be getting high quality contacts and leads, because otherwise you're just
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah.
everybody in the conference, which is like, it's just a lot of noise, which you don't really want when you're
Yeah,
trying to do
that would
sales.
help you in post. So I would say, I
Yeah.
mean, again, I would say that we had a lot of high quality content. We did had some people who we did a demo for,
Yeah.
but that didn't lead anywhere. But again,
No, no. That's part of
it's a
the.
matter of
Yeah.
numbers. So some will of course fall through. But I think we got a
True.
lot of good conversations, and happy to say a lot of good
Mhm.
customers as well after the event. So
Yeah.
I think all in all, I think these activities of prepping, understanding how people are coming in, setting up your booth
Yep.
in a way that drives footfall, right? And
Yeah.
then not just, I mean, see, you can drive a lot of footfall, right? You can drive
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of footfall. I remember a couple of other booths next to us did a lot of other gimmicks to drive footfall. I mean, they had ridiculous kind of swag, which you know
Yeah.
which wherein the whole thing gets swallowed up in the swag. What
Exactly.
you're there for, people don't really care about. The swag looks awesome, so I'm
Yeah.
just here for the swag, right? So that is
Yeah.
one. Two, people started. I mean, there were a couple of booths down who were offering drinks, who were offering beer or something like that. A lot of
Yeah.
people just
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
for a beer. They took the
Exactly.
beer and said, "Yeah, best of luck, thanks for the beer," and then they left, right? So it's so much more money that they spent in getting all of that, but they didn't really get
Totally.
the return. So I think when we
Totally.
made it clear that, yeah, sure, we are able to drive footfall, but then
Uh-huh.
immediately once the person is in, we're asking, saying as to, what are you looking at, what are your experiences like. So even they
Yeah.
understand. I think a customer in many ways, or a prospect in many ways, would understand, that we are taking the time to understand what their problems are, rather than just push swag, or rather than just push here, this is
Yeah.
our product, how great it is. I think we took
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time out. I think that paid us back quite well.
Definitely. Yeah, so one thing that actually helped us quite a bit was, the fact that we straight up just had a couple of bunch of trainings at Black Hat. So we are a training company. So the fact that we had trainings happening at Black Hat was a big thing for us. Like, we were able to show off our creds and say that, look, we have some credibility because we already had training at Black Hat, which means that our knowledge level is already at, a particular level,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I think that led to the fact that, I think, and I'll tell you where and how that changed and how that kind of established us. So day two, a lot of the footfall drove itself. We didn't have to drive a
Yeah.
lot of the footfall. I'll tell you how that happened.
True. True.
So as we were talking to folks, and mind you, our the booths are all after the training. So training is already finished by that time. So there are a lot of
Mhm.
people who never attended training or just came for the conference, right? So they had nothing to do with the training. But then when we said that, hey, we have been doing training at Black Hat. We are training this year as well, and not
Mhm.
just that, but we have been doing training at Black Hat for the last 5 years, right? So that
Yeah.
automatically establish your credibility at a very high level, saying, okay,
Yeah.
you guys are deemed to be worthy enough. Your content is good enough to be presented as a paid training class in Black Hat, right?
Black hat.
Uh,
Yeah.
so their quality levels, and the committee, Black Hat training committee, is quite serious about the content that it allows, right, to be done as part of their
Mhm.
training classes. So they take it through a very, very high end quality process before which they approve a course to be done at Black Hat. So ours definitely has been ranking at the top trainings. And I think last year when we did it, we had uh, two or three trainings. I think this year we have four trainings, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
automatically shows the kind of quality that we bring in. Now, with that said, since we were showing an app product like AppSecEngineer, which is about training, it automatically leads to the credibility of our content, right? Being
Yep.
battle tested, being ready, being relevant, right? You're doing
Yeah.
training at BlackHat for so many years. It can't be
Yep.
the same content that you have been doing for the last 5 years. The content has to be relevant, updated, and appropriate to what people are looking for, right? And that is what
Exactly.
we had. Now, how this helped was that day two of the conference, right? We got very little questions when we were talking to people. We got very little questions on our content, and
Mm-hmm.
the more of the questions were coming into how do I track, how do I see, what are the kind of usage, how do I funnel people into teams, how do I give assignments to people, how do I track whether they're completed, can I or
Yeah.
can I give certificates to people, a lot more on the enterprise features, right? And
Correct. Exactly.
as we were going along the day, I was thinking like nobody's asking me questions on content. Wow, that's nice. Which means content is already good. Nobody needs to know, okay, how good is the content, are your courses relevant, does it have the latest
Right.
OWASP top 10? Nobody really asked us that. And
Yeah.
I was like, great, nobody's asking us content. Not that it's bad. If we are still getting people who are coming to the booth, but then they're
Exactly.
all saying that, tell me more about how it can help me gear
Exactly.
up a training program across the organization. Content is already there. I don't need to hear about the content. It's awesome already. So tell me how I
Yep.
can do the
Yep.
rest. And that
Yeah.
is that is where the creds, that's where, we doing training at Black Hat, and for multiple number of years has helped significantly in this respect. I think a lot
Yeah.
of questions you also got was around a lot of these things, right?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
how do
Absolutely.
I
A lot of
manage
the
a lot of these
quality
things?
of
How do
life
I activate a lot of
features.
these things? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, the conversations just would keep changing over the course of the day and over the course of both days. So that was definitely something that surprised us, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
think
yeah,
that is something that was a very nice surprise that we got, and I think again speaks volumes to the kind of work that our training team has done. I mean, as long as you
oh,
have good
totally.
content, the rest follows. I mean, the
Yep,
rest is more about quality of life issues, I would say. The rest is more about
yep,
making things easy enough, intuitive enough that people like to use it.
yeah,
But the core of the product is still there, which is the high quality of content.
yeah. Another thing that helped us actually with getting people to come to our booths and have high quality conversations was inviting them through swap cards actually. So we last time actually we started off pretty late, but this time
Yeah,
we are planning to, and we also recommend for all of our viewers who are going to be running booths at Black Hat to start off doing this in the next week itself, in the run up to Black Hat, even before you start to get there and get everything set up, is to start talking to people on swap cards and start having conversations with them there and invite them to your booth. So like if these are people, if these people fit your target demographic, so we were mostly looking at slightly management level people who might be interested in security training for their teams. So
yeah,
we would kind of filter through all of the attendants
yeah,
and attendees, sorry, attendees, and find the right uh, demographic of attendees and kind of message all of them. And of course you can't individually message all of these people. You kind of have to tailor messages to say CISOs or product managers, things like that. Different people have to, or different
yeah,
roles have to have customized messages. But once you
yeah.
start to reach out to all of these people, you kind of are able to invite them over to the booth and have much higher quality conversations than just someone who's just walking by.
Yeah, I think that was. I think this year, I think we're going to start that quite early. We did it quite late
Yep.
last year,
Yep.
so it was kind of a rush to the finish line, and it was
Yeah.
kind of all hands on deck. Everyone was just scrambling to do that. So I think
Yeah.
that is another major learning that we got from our experience last year. I think this time swap card accounts, I think, have already been set up. We've already logged
Mm-hmm.
in. We already started going through the list of names that are, I think, soon to come.
Exactly.
And I think again we are again focused on having much higher quality connects and much higher quality conversations with the organizations which are most likely to lead to further conversations. I think that is one of the key
Exactly.
learnings, right? You will get a lot of leads, right? You will get a lot of leads, a lot of people will come into your booth. You will be able to pull off an awesome demo, but then there is the fact that will this conversation still be alive once the event is all said and done, everyone is back home catching up with their work, right? So I
Yeah.
think the thing that we are going in for, and that is a key learning for all of us, for my
Mm-hmm.
team as well, is the saying that you need to have conversations which are far more higher in quality, and you can only do that when you start early, reach out, right, through the swap card system, reach out. um, and since you start early, you'll be able to know who they are, where they come from, what do they do, the kind
Mm-hmm.
of kind of things that they have done before, right? And if you are able
Mm-hmm.
to get some kind of information on the kind of technology they work on, the kind of strength, the kind of products they develop, etc., you could tailor your pitch, tailor your message accordingly. And
Totally.
as you're doing that, right, as people start responding to you, then you can just start funneling them. Then you could have kind of like good high quality appointments at the booth, right there.
Yeah.
And again, when you have that, you're not really worried about, okay, somebody has come and I need to make a 30-second pitch and capture their attention. This is somebody who
Mm-hmm.
came and said that, and we had a couple of people who did come in saying that, hey, I've finally been able to make it, I want to meet this person, etc. And then
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
leads to you going aside and having a proper conversation. It's almost like a 30 to 45-minute call. You have a
Yeah, definitely.
conversation, and there you're able to go in so much more deeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're able to pull out things in what you wrote in your message, in what they responded in that message, and then
Yeah.
take that context and have the conversation. So automatically the context and the quality of the conversation is much higher. And like I said, some of those people actually led to becoming customers for us, right? Later
Yeah.
they did sign up to AppSecEngineer. So I think we want to do a lot more of that this year. And to all of the viewers who are looking at not just Black Hat, but any other event that they are looking at, right? I think that is the key goal of any conference or event that you typically attend, right? You
Yeah.
want to maximize the effort that you put in, because a lot of effort obviously goes into getting these
Totally.
things up and running and getting the whole team together and up and running. So you'll want to see the best return for what you do. So I think that is
Mm-hmm.
a key thing to keep in mind.
Definitely. And in fact, scanning the people's badges, making sure you scan them and get their contacts right after speaking with them. So if these are people who are just walking by your booth and they're not someone you've met on swap cards, you need to make sure that you, especially if they're someone who seems interested in the product or
Yeah.
service or whatever that you're providing, you should make sure that you scan it so that then you can also go back and continue the conversation after the conference is ended.
Yeah, I think we again have to go back to the point that scan those where the conversation has been good and you feel
Yep.
that there is a possibility of it to lead further. Because again, and let me say this, nobody's going to make a decision right then and there, right? Purchase decision will not going to happen at the booth. You're going to
No.
have people who say, this is awesome, send me material, send me this, send me that, contact me later, give me 3 weeks, then we'll talk. You will not see any closures or sales over there, especially this is, and we are
Right.
looking at enterprise products, right? So you're not going to see any closures or sales over there. So you want to sort out those which are higher in quality and scan
Mm-hmm.
those, right? And again,
Yeah.
less is more kind of a thing, right? So
Yeah.
scanning you may be tempted to scan everything and anyone who comes in, even the person who just takes swag, but then that
Yeah.
does just clutters up your list and we have so much more to work
Exactly.
through. And you may just end up reaching out to people and they may not even remember you, and kind of like a wasted effort. So
Yeah.
I think we'll have to be a lot more selective. We should have been a lot more selective last year, in all honesty,
Yeah.
but I think this year we will be a lot more selective as to who we scan and who we talk to, thereby
Right.
making it a lot more you say rewarding for us later.
Right. So I think we are getting ready to the close of the session. So before we go, do you have any like tips, tricks, interesting sort of tidbits that you can share with us about?
All right. So, I mean, I can share tips on the kind of product that we had. Again, I would say people can extrapolate that, viewers can extrapolate that towards their product or service. So, we had a subscriber based product, right? So, it's a subscription service. Now, while we did talk about our credentials at Black Hat, how much training we have done, all of that, high quality of content, again, one of the key things that anyone would decide before buying any kind of product would say, okay, how many other people use it? I mean, I don't want to
Right.
be, I mean, let's be honest, nobody likes being the guinea pig, saying that, yeah, I'm the first guy who's
Yeah.
using this product. They did a great demo, but then a lot of things need to be ironed out. Nobody wants to be that, right? Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be the cyberpunk of, training or enterprise products, right?
Totally.
So talk about your subscriber numbers. Talk about the traction you're getting. And when I say talk about it, talk about it with actual numbers. Don't just give a lot of jargons. Talk about it with actual
Yep.
numbers as to what you have. A lot of times people may ask you this, and when you start talking about, they're saying, okay, which are the top courses? Okay, what do people go towards the most? People sign up to your product to do what the most, right? So you need to have those numbers ready, and be ready to share that data. Saying, for example, one of the things that we shared last year, and how that has changed. Last year we saw a lot of traction of people who signed up for our AWS cloud security courses, right?
Yeah.
Because the way we had set up those cloud security courses was that it had a full sandbox, and all of it was relevant labs, and all of that was there. But this year, as we have gone along the year, and from 2022 to 2023, we have seen
Yeah.
a very, very high uptick in DevSecOps, right? So a
Right. Yeah.
key thing to mention when you're at the booth is saying that, hey, by the way, if you're looking to, increase your security posture at your company or improve the security posture, etc., check out DevSecOps courses from AppSecEngineer, because, if you're looking at, if our subscriber base is 10,000, I would easily say that, at least half of them are just doing DevSecOps, right?
Right.
So you have 50% of your subscriber base just laser focused on just doing DevSecOps. Everybody's doing a little bit of everything else, but DevSecOps is the key focus, right? So that becomes in many ways the driver, right, to what
Yeah.
people are coming to your product for. Because if you, while it's nice to say that, yeah, I can come to AppSecEngineer, train on everything that under the sun in application security, that kind of dilutes a lot of the focus and the message, because no organization is going to be, yeah, I have problems in every facet of application security and I want to train on everything.
Yeah.
Even if that is true, you will still want to train on something. Let's start here, then
Yeah.
move to this, then move to this, right? So I think that works a lot, and you can drive that, or you can segue into that very nicely when you talk about what your subscriber numbers is, where the traction is coming from, who are the people giving you traction, right? What are
Yeah.
the kind of sizes of teams who buy your product, right? So because again, you'll also get judged on that fact, saying that, typically people who buy AppSec Engineer range anywhere between small to medium size to kind of like a large size where you're looking at 100, 200 people. But if somebody says, okay, have you done a, subscription of a very, very small group of people, right? Do you do that as teams, right? So you will be
Hmm.
prepped to answer that question, right? You will know what
Totally.
has to be told over there. So I think that helps greatly. So that is one small tip. The other, like I said, again, scan those badges that are that which make sense to you. And third, most
Yep.
importantly, I know it may be a very unrelated tip, but when you are having people at the booth, ensure that you have enough people who can take over for others, right? Otherwise you're going to
Yeah.
be at the booth all day. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you, Anushika, were at the booth from morning. I think the show floor opens at 9, right? We
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
there till straight 5 o'clock, standing.
Yeah.
And I think
The
by the
entire
end of it,
time.
I think our colleagues had to drag us out. Hey, come, I'm going to take you for coffee and lunch. And like, what? Is it 5 o'clock? You're going to take me
Oh
for
yeah.
lunch?
That was
So,
some
so,
crazy stuff.
so we need. I mean, make sure you have
And
people
we
who
had to
can
go to
take off,
parties
or
after
you're
that
going to
as
drop.
well. So
Or you're going to drop.
exactly.
Day one is the most intensive.
Yeah.
Day one is where you get the most footfalls. Day two, again, I mean, in all honesty, day two does
It
tend
ends
to be a
earlier
little
though,
bit
right?
tepid.
So
No,
yeah.
it does, yeah, it does close up a little bit earlier,
And there are
and
not so
people
many
do start.
parties afterwards. Parties are
Yeah,
a big
a
thing.
lot of
So
people go to that. A lot of people go to that, so that becomes an obvious distraction for people to go to. So
yep.
day one is going to be a killer. So you need to be in tip-top condition and shape to essentially be at your best, because
Yeah.
no matter what you do, you cannot give an awesome pitch with an empty stomach. You're going to be looking at ways to,
Yeah.
it's going to be a booth, but you're going to feel like
Totally.
prison break kind of thing, right? You want to
God.
get out of there as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I think
At all times you
even in
should
that
have
kind of
at least
bad
two
situation
people
last.
at the
Yeah, yeah. No,
exactly.
not just two. I think, yeah, 2 to 3 people should
A
be a good
minimum of two
mix.
people at all times at the
Yeah, yeah.
booth.
Minimum 2 people at all times. Again, I think some part of Black Hat rules also kind of mandate that. But that's
Yep.
why we say that, have enough number of people that you're able to go in and come out. And it's not
Yes.
all underpinned on you saying that you cannot move from this place. Right. So
Exactly.
that becomes pretty hard. I think that is by way of all the small tips that I had. I think the rest we covered quite extensively. But yeah, I think
Awesome. Yeah.
this should be something that helps a lot of people. And again, this is not just specific to Black Hat. This could be any other event that people go to, small or large. I think the same rules apply. It's just the scale that
Totally.
is the difference.
Yeah. Awesome. So thanks so much for joining me, Bharat. I think we're all like really excited about Black Hat, and I'm
Yeah.
sure our viewers who are going to be hosting the booths at Black Hat or are going to be attending Black Hat are also going to be really pumped for this. So I can't wait to see you guys there. We will be hosting a booth at the Innovation City. Actually, I
Yeah.
think it's called the Startup City now. So we're going to be
Oh,
having
they
a
changed
booth
it.
over there. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys are attending Black Hat, so please do come and visit us there. We'd love to have a conversation with you and get chatting. So until then, we'll see you. Bye.
Thanks.